Hey guys, welcome to the Kim Wright YouTube channel. It's another day of the Advent Calendar Challenge, and this one I'm slightly nervous about because I know that there's going to be quite a few opinions in the comments below. By all means, give me your opinion because this is kind of a debate in a way. So I'm in the process of making this for a friend of mine. He's a Battlestar Galactica fan, and as you can see, inside is the little robot. It's homemade, I'm sorry. The little robot dog from Battlestar Galactica 1979, I think it was. I'm not 100% sure. I might have got that slightly wrong. Might be 1973. He's more of a Battlestar Galactica fan. I'm more 1980s, but he doesn't like the 1980s. Whereas he's in the earlier version, which I've seen, which is how I know about the dog. But while I was making it, it got me thinking about something that's been on my mind for quite a while. You could say that this is partly programmed into me from when I was very much younger. So obviously as a kid I used to get quite expensive presents. But over time, due to budget or due to money restraints, I did end up spending a lot of time making a lot of projects. So, for example, I actually made these kittens for a friend of mine. She absolutely loved it. I have made these jars for another friend, and I made this Christmas bauble for another friend. Most of the stuff that I have bought have been from either charity shops or things that I have built. And it got a question up that I'm slightly nervous about, which is, do you think that homemade Christmas cards and Christmas presents, would they be considered cheap and tatty, or would you appreciate them a lot more? Now, in my personal opinion, I would say people would appreciate the presents a lot more because of the time and effort that someone puts in to a present should be more valuable than how much. This jar has cost me nothing, mostly because I've used bits of scrap from the house. And this is, if you remember the pumpkin from a couple of videos ago when I did Cinderella, this is the same material that I used on the pumpkin that I have basically used on this one. And that jar has cost me nothing to build, mainly because I've had the materials before. The cards that I used for the if you're on my TikTok, you would have seen that there's some cards that I built from props. They're cards that someone gave me a long time ago that I just reshaped and remodeled into those wedding invites. Unfortunately, I'm in the habit of recycling, and the theatre appreciate it. My hope is that my friend appreciates it. I believe he will, but there's always that gut feeling inside of me that it's not going to work out. Ooh, it's hard. And I think it comes from the ideology that if you home make something, then you're just being cheap. Why wouldn't you go out and buy the new PS5? Why wouldn't you go out and buy the most expensive thing in the history of the world? Surely the most expensive thing is depicting and showing that you love this person. And I would say no. And here's the reason why. That jar may have cost me nothing, but another jar that I've made, the dinosaur one that I made in a previous video, that cost me, I am not joking, or would have cost me 30 quid had I not used a voucher. In actual fact, I think it cost me 17, but I sat down and tried to work out how much it would cost me, and it would cost me 30 quid. If I was to sell that jar, I would have to sell it at 40 quid to get a £10 profit. And that's not including me trying to work out how wages work, because that's the one reason I've never started a business, because wages kind of scare me a little bit. I've never worked it out, figured out how it works. For that reason, I've never considered selling them. I've sat down and said, okay, material wise, how much does it cost? I'll give you another example. The Macbeth one. The Macbeth one mostly cost me £1, and that was for the paint that I used for the base. Everything else was cardboard, bits of cardboard that I had around the house. And the other jars that I've made have cost me 10, 15, 20 quid just to get the material alone before I've even thought about start building it. Those jars together cost me 30 quid. I got a whole collection of jars for 30 quid, of which they probably, I'd have to work out how much they would cost me individually, but if I was to get them again, they'd probably cost me more. So, or possibly less depending on the buyer. Value wise, when it comes to the money value, I've had conversations with other friends about this, about the prospect of value of money wise versus value of making. And a lot of people have agreed with me that when you homemade, even if you're knitting a jumper, a manufactured jumper for a shop is cheaper than actually knitting. You need to buy the needles, you need to buy the patterns, you need to plan it, you probably have to get a couple of weeks off to make the jumper, or use any free time that you've had to make the jumper, and of course you've got to buy the wool. That costs. And when you actually sit down and put the costs together, it adds up hugely. And that is the thing I think people forget when they consider it. Appreciation wise, I think making a homemade present, people appreciate that more, and it's because of time. It's because of the time, it's because of the effort, it's because the person has had to think about what they want to get the person, what they want to make the person before they've even begun. I had this challenge on Saturday. I literally started this jar on Thursday on one of my days off. I spent Tuesday talking with my friends about what to do about it. I spent Wednesday hunting charity shops for a present, which I couldn't find one single present for him. So I sat down eventually on Thursday and said, okay, I'll make it. I sat down, I planned it, I plotted it, worked it all out. The base and background was kind of a last thing that I kind of thought about what I was going to do about it, and eventually decided this was my decision. And the end product, I think, looks great. I'm currently waiting for it to dry. How he reacts to it will depend on whether he even gets what it is. The second I made the model, I was sending it to my mum, I was sending it to my dad. It's not my mum and dad I'm giving the presents to. I was sending it to my mum, I was sending it to my dad, I was sending it to my friends, I was sending it to fellow people who do craft just like I do, and every single one of them did not say... Sorry, had to change cameras. Where was I? Oh yeah, I'd sent it to my dad, I sent it to my mum, I'd sent it to my fellow craft friends, I'd sent it to my own friends, and every single one of them did not say it's rubbish. In fact, a lot of them gave me good advice on how to improve it, like it's meant to be a woolly dog, so they suggested give the impression that it's got woolly fur, and a lot of them suggested it might be a little bit more rougher because it's a robot, until I sent them a picture and they went, okay, fair enough. A lot of them said it was great, and that allows me to be more confident in what I do. It's been hard for me to focus on one thing and focus on another thing, but it's been good and interesting. And I would say, yes, I've not spent a single thing on this jar, but it's been the most passionate thing that I have done. I've had to think really hard about what to do for this one. So, do I personally think that homemade stuff is cheap and tatty? No. No, I would not think it. I would not think that. If anyone gave me a homemade gift, I'd be very happy. I'd be very proud of the fact that someone thought that much of me that they wanted to make something like that. Particularly if they're really good at craft, then you know you've got a winner. But it's an interesting comment in the comments what your opinion on homemade gifts is, because I'd be interested to hear it. This video is also going on Facebook because I want to hear other people's opinions on homemade gifts. I've heard from quite a few people and they've said that you know, a homemade gift is more appreciated because of the thought that has gone into these kind of gifts. But what's your opinion on it? Anyway, I gotta go because I gotta get to work. But as always, stay safe, stay well, keep the magic in your fingertips, and I'll see you again real soon. Ciao for now.